Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic which is discipline management. Now let us first understand the basic meaning of management. See, we all know that in an organization there are various people working from various cultures and various backgrounds. So it is very important that they all follow a common code of conduct. They all follow several rules and regulations in order to achieve the organizational goals. So when we talk about discipline, it is basically a set of rules and regulations that are designed to be implemented and followed for the effective and efficient utilization of all the resources, so that all the parties, that is all the employees, work unanimously with each other. There are two concepts of discipline, one the negative one and the other is the positive. While the negative aspect basically focuses on ensuring that the employees abide or adhere stringently to the rules, and it cannot, therefore, then a suitable punishment is given. Okay, so the negative aspect basically talks about adhering to the rules and regulations strictly, otherwise, a punishment would be given to that person. When we talk about the other aspect, it is the positive one. It recognizes, that is, the employee recognizes the fact that there is a sense of responsibility that is there on us and we have to abide by this. Then only we can achieve the organizational goals. So it is very important that a sense of responsibility comes in the employee and they follow the rules and regulations and particular code of conduct on their own, okay, not with the forceful act or behavior by others. So every act of indiscipline is called a misconduct. Yes, very right. Whenever you are not following discipline, whenever you are not following certain procedures, rules and regulations, then you are basically indulging in a misconduct, okay, misbehavior basically. So illustrative examples of misconduct are basically given under model standing orders, which are framed as a part of Industrial Employment Standing Orders Act 1946. Now let us discuss the various objectives of discipline management. Why is it important that people have to be disciplined? What are the goals? What are the aims of the same? So the first one is to increase the efficiency and effectiveness. Very right. Because when people are adhering to the various code of conduct that are designed, then what will happen? There won't be any procrastination as far as completion of work is concerned, and also the work will be completed in a stipulated period of time or an adequate time. So it is very important that appropriate discipline is followed by the employees. The other one is to create an atmosphere of respect for each other. Yes, very right. When people know through the rules and regulations that are framed, okay, through the code of conduct that is there in the organization, when the employees know what are the roles and responsibilities of every person, okay, then what will happen? They will know who is my senior, who is my junior, and they will be respecting each other. They will be understanding the authority and responsibility, okay, and accountability of every person. So this is an important aim of discipline management. It also aims to obtain a willing acceptance of rules and regulations. See, it is not always that the employees are abiding by the rules and regulations. Sometimes it so happens that there are certain differences as far as certain rules are concerned, which are rigid basically. So the employees have a right that they can give suggestions regarding certain changes to be made in those rigid rules. So here basically the employees, when find or feel that these regulations are violating their moral rights, they can approach the management and give suggestions what would be the changes that should be there. So it would becomes a willingful, after these rules are framed, and then it becomes a willing acceptance of rules and regulations. The last one is to improve coordination. Yes, very right. What is coordination? When there is a complete unanimity regarding the goal which they are supposed to achieve for the organization. So the employees basically coordinate with each other, they help each other. Whatever the department may be it a marketing, finance, or a research department, they know that they have a common goal. So if they have to achieve that goal, if they want their organization to grow, then they will have to cooperate with each other, coordinate with each other. And also the rules are designed in such a way that every employee understand the needs of each other. Yes, rules are also designed in such manner that they understand that they are basically dependent on each other. It is through their efforts that the organization is going to grow in the future. Okay. Now let us discuss the code of discipline that has been framed for enforcing the discipline in an organization. So this code follows the Gandhian approach or Gandhian model to bind the employers and trade unions, which represents the employees, to a moral agreement for promoting peace and harmony in the organization. See, Gandhiji always believed that both the parties, that is the employers and the employees, are dependent on each other. They are the ones who are going to grow the organization. So it is through their coordinated efforts that the organization will achieve its goal. So they should understand each other's importance. So this code of discipline is basically was formed on his principles. It was an outcome of the efforts of Gulzari Lal Nanda, and this was further promoted by our labor minister at that time, who was Gulzari Lal Nanda. It was at his instance that this code could be formulated. So at the 16th session of the Indian Labour Conference. Okay, so what is Indian Labour Conference? See, there are certain tripartite bodies in a country, which includes the members of the trade union, the government, and the employers. So it is a tripartite bodies which makes various acts. We all know about Industrial Disputes Act 1947, then there is Factories Act 1948, Abolition of Child Labour Act 1946, and many acts are made for the promotion and also the support of the laborers who are vulnerable and working in an establishment. So this body, Indian Labour Conference, is basically made to make such acts which promote the labor rights. Okay, so we are talking about code of discipline, which was basically implemented through the efforts of our then labor minister. So what are the three main principles of this code? See, as I said, that there are two parties and both are responsible for the acts of each other, because they are the ones who are going to take the organization forward. So it basically has three principles. The first one is the obligations which are to be observed by the management, and the obligations which are to be observed by the trade unions also, and the principles which are to be abided by both the parties. So what are the salient features of this code? Okay, it says that there should be no strike or lockout without a proper notice. Okay, so a notice should be put before a strike or a lockout, and every effort should be made to sort out all the differences through the internal machinery only. Yes, this is very important, because we know that there is a preventive machinery and a settlement machinery. Okay, so when we talk about preventive machinery, it tries to prevent all the kinds of disputes or differences, okay, through either a grievance redressal committee, okay, then there can be collective bargaining and many other things, okay, can be there in order to sort out the differences internally only. Then there can be external settlement also, where the role of government, like the tribunals, labor courts, okay, these types of voluntary arbitration all come. So it is basically preferred that all the differences are sought within the organization only, that is through internal machinery only. Now on the employer's part, there should be a prompt action for the settlement of the grievances, okay, and the implementation of codes rules also. Yes, whenever a person is found guilty of a kind of indiscipline, okay, then the person should, okay, the employer should take the prompt action for the settlement of those grievances, okay. Management should also take immediate action against whosoever is found guilty of provoking or igniting the indiscipline among the workers, okay. So the management basically first of all should take the prerogative of starting an action, and after a person is found guilty, then the justified action should also be taken against that person. Also, both the workers and management should recognize the rights and responsibilities of each other and should willingly discharge their obligations. The outside machinery, that is the route of labor court, tribunals or conciliation boards for settlement of disputes, should be given, okay, should be avoided if possible, and grievances should be settled within the organization only. Now let us discuss about a very important concept, which is red hot stove rule. So it was basically given by Sir Douglas MacGregor. He believes that the discipline can be enforced through the rule of red hot stove. We all know whenever we go near a red hot stove, what happens? We feel a burn, and this burn is consistent and impersonal for everyone. That is, whosoever will touch the red hot stove, he will get a burn. So similar is the case with discipline. If a person is found guilty of indiscipline, so that person should be given a punishment, okay. So first of all, there should be a warning issued, and if the rules are violated in spite of that, then the appropriate punishment should be given. Now let us practice some important questions. Who proposed red hot stove rule for enforcing discipline? Frederick Hedberg, Henry Mintzberg, Douglas MacGregor, Alfred Marshall. See, we just discussed that it was proposed or propounded by Douglas MacGregor. So the correct option would be option C. Now the next question is, who helped in formulation of Code of Discipline among the Industrial Employment Act 1946? Lala Lajpat Rai, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Gulzari Lal Nanda. See, we just discussed that it was formulated with the effort of Gulzari Lal Nanda, who was our labor minister then. So the correct answer would be option D. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for your time.